Okay, let's start the lecture so we can finish on time. Our lecture today is starting to look at the last two steps in system analysis and development, which is the implementation. Most of the time, when I teach this class or any other system development class, the implementation is never being discussed in large. Mostly because with implementation, we will involve a lot of other parties. Some of the stakeholders, probably most involved with the vendors, people who supplied us with many product and services. However, implementation often become a critical part. I would say, based on my experience, this is the second most critical part of the system development and analysis. After the analysis itself, when I was working for photographer.net, we were forced, not expected, but we were forced by the advertising clients to go live with the new system on February 1st, 2012. They didn't want any extension toward that. So we worked in the last 72 hours closing toward the 1st of February 2012 to get everything ready. And in the morning of February the 1st, 2012, the system went live. But there was something wrong with the system. Okay, you remember the last lecture before this, we discussed the internet-based system. Okay, so what happened was the application layer send data to presentation layer. Okay. However, the presentation layer failed to display the data. So instead of beautiful graphical website, like what you probably, I already give you some example of it. This one appears. So this is the sample. It's not exactly like this, but this is the sample of what appears. So instead of a website, this kind of data appears. Okay. So what happened was the back-end system. The back-end system supposed to deliver data, that kind of data that I just showed you, to the front-end system. And then the front-end system supposed to build a beautiful website using the data. However, for some reason, the front-end website refused to display the beautiful website. They just show us the text. So all hell break loose. Okay, so what we did was we need to freeze the system. Remember, with 500,000 active member at that time, the website was never actually rest. It's working 24/7. So we need to freeze the activities. We send notification to all our users that for the next 24 hours, there will be no activities. User could not log in and upload picture to photograph. Anyway, so what happened was one of the problem with the system. I need to tell you that before we deploy the system into the production, all the system was working fine. Sure, it has some flaws, but it worked just fine on the test system. I'll show you later about the test system. But when we push that into production, it wasn't working. Okay, so that's the problem. Okay, I'll tell you later about that. So let me share you the screen again. So this time with this implementing the system. Okay, so this is we start the implementation, and then next week we will discuss the maintenance. So these are the 6 major activities: coding or writing the codes for the application. Just a moment. I need to go. Okay, sorry for the interruption, but my next door neighbor is currently renovating their house, so there are plenty of noises. Anyway, let's return to this. So this major activities, coding, which is we translate the design into working software, and then we test the software and the system. After everything was done and nothing wrong with the system, we did the installation. At the same time, we also create documentation for the system. If necessary, we conduct training to users and support the user during the implementation. So the purpose of implementation is to convert the specification or the design into working and reliable software, and also to document all the work that has been done and to provide help for current and future users. And this is the process of coding, testing, installation. Coding is writing the code for the software, testing to test whether the software working as intended and with the performance that acceptable. Coding and testing conducting in parallel, and there are some strategy that we will discuss that later. Installation, the current system replaced by the new system. So we stop the old system and install the new system. So this is the deliverables. And then documentation and training. For final documentation, there are 2 types of documentation. System documentation is explaining the design process and the rationale behind the design. So explaining the design process and rationale of the design. And then also we will have documentation for user who will use the system. Okay. And then we train the user. There are users that will use the application, and there are users that will maintain the application. So testing is an important part for a software, okay, and system development, obviously. In fact, there are people who work as tester. So if you write or if you develop a system, you should have other people to test your system. Okay, obviously the developer, the programmer will test the software themselves, but we need somebody else with fresh eye and also objective mind to test the software. And there are many testing that has been done throughout the system. testing should be planned ahead. So what kind of testing will be employed, who will do the testing, how many times, or the time allocation, and so on and so forth. Okay. So these are seven different type of tests. First is the static or dynamic technique. Static means that code being tested is not executed. So somebody else will look into the code and see whether or not the code is having, are there any errors or bugs in the code. And then dynamic testing include execution of the code. So we run the code and see what's wrong with it. Tests could be automated or manual. There are some software that can help programmer to automate the tests. Okay. With manual means that people completed the test. Okay. And then there is inspection, where is the tester will examine the code for predictable language-specific error, like syntax error, things like that. Walkthrough, somebody else, peer group review, or some other programmer will check the code, test checking. Again, this is the reviewer will look at the code and find if there's any problem with it. And then unit testing. So software was built like a Lego. Each block or each module is developed and then being tested by the program. And then after that, there will be integration testing where all the modules being assembled and all the Lego form or the bricks will be tested as an integrated part instead of separate modules. And then there will be system testing. Yeah, so the whole system will be tested as single entity, as integrated system. Okay. Testing is similar to. So the purpose of testing first is to confirm that the system satisfies the requirement. If, for example, can the system produce report on daily basis automatically? So we tested that. Can the system, for example, finish transaction, charge the customer with amount that they need to be paid, creating invoice, things like that? It should be tested, and test must be planned. In some specific tests, the intention of the testing is to see the limit of the system, when the system will break. For example, if the system should be able to handle 1,000 users, could the system actually handle 1,000 users at the same time? If the system able to handle 1,000 users with acceptable level of performance, then we increase the number of users. Try 1,500. If it's still working, try 2,000, so on and so forth. Therefore, and then when it's reached, say, 3,000, it breaks or stop or freeze, then we know the limit. Okay, we know technically how much the limit. So that's what they always do with all the engineering product, not only software. Like car, for example, motorcycles, there is a tolerance built in it. So if, say, your car could go up to 100 km per hour, can it go faster than 100? Maybe, but the safe technical limit was 100. So test case or the scenario for testing will represent either typical system, daily system usage, normal system usage, critical system use, or abnormal system use. Okay. So with critical system, like I said, if it was tested, if it was designed for 1,000 users, try with 2,000 users. abnormal system use, it means that if somebody deliberately make a mistake or error, or for example, this is applied to security testing. For example, if I don't have username and password, can I log into the system, or can I try to guess the password as many times as I like? That's why this abnormal system use also being tested. Okay. So all the test case and results should be thoroughly documented. Okay. So for example, if you test the system with 3,000 users and it fails, it should be documented, and then later on they can examine. For example, if the initial design is just for 1,000 and want to see whether it's safe to be used by 2,000 people, they can see the documentation. Okay. With automated testing, this usually done with software. It's improved testing quality because people could be fatigued and made error. This reduced testing time up to 80%. This is especially useful for simulated high volume for stress testing, okay, to see when the system will break with overload capacity. Okay. Every time a programmer finishes to write a module, he or she needs to test that module immediately. And then after all the modules being finished, they need to be integrated testing immediately. So this always parallel process between the coding and testing. Now, at the end of the system development, just before we hand over the system to users, there is acceptance testing. Acceptance testing will be conducted by the actual user to see whether the new system was actually satisfying their requirements. So to see whether the user will accept the system or not. Okay. With acceptance testing, there are alpha and also beta. Alpha means testing the system with simulated data. So we provided the data, we provided the scenario, and then there is a beta testing. This is a testing where system being tested using real data and real user environment. Okay. You probably heard that some people involved in beta testing. I was involved in beta testing for several software, and as a reward, usually I will get the free version of that software. Okay, so I use that software for my daily routine. I use that for my work. I work with it, using my data. And if there is error, I'll report that to the developer, and then the developer will make a fix. Okay. Type of alpha test. So there is recovery testing. This is to force the software to fail in order to verify that recovery is properly performed. Okay. Just like when you had error in your computers, and then after it restart, it should go normally, like just before the crash. Security testing. Then this is to test the security features and how secure the system will be. Stress testing tries to break the system with overload the system. And performance testing, this is to determine how the system performs the range of possible environment in which it may be used. Like with photographer.net, for example, every time a user click a link and then the new page appear, it should be at that time, our standard was below 0.05 second. Okay. So it's very, very fast. Another example, Telkomsel. The reporting system at Telkomsel, every hours they will get data from Telkomsel's system, approximately 3 billion, not million, but billion row of data being processed and then being displayed into the Telkomsel's CEO screen within or under 5 seconds. The average now is under 4 seconds, so it's still within the performance limit. And then installation, this is to change the old system with the new system. There are 4 direct strategy for installation. First is direct installation. This is so the old system will stop immediately and immediately replaced with the new system. There is no overlap. This was the strategy that was employed in photographer.net. So the old version was stopped and then immediately changed with the new version, and it failed. Next strategy is parallel installation. So this is my favorite actually, and I was suggesting this to the photographer.net management team, but they refused it. So what happened was with parallel installation is the old and the new system will run in parallel. The data will be entered into both systems, and after we ensure that the new system work like it was intended, we can turn off the old system and the new system will take over. Single installation, this is for trying out information at one side and using the experience to decide if and how the new system should be deployed throughout the organization. If you read the current news, for example, currently Telkomsel installing the 5G network in 4 areas in Jabodetabek, 2 areas in Jakarta, 1 area in Tangerang, and the other in also 2 areas in Tangerang, BSD and Alam Sutra, and the other 2 areas was in Jakarta. So they tested there first, and after they felt that it was succeed, they can install the new 5G network in other locations as well. Okay. Interface installation, this is changing from the old information system to the new one incrementally, starting, for example, if it's complete new accounting software, it starts with the sales. If the sales work fine, then we can move to purchasing. If purchasing succeed, then we can move to say, for example, payroll, so on and so forth. So how we need to consider which strategy that we need to employ. First, we need to consider data conversion from the old system to the new system. We need to consider when to shut down the system, the old system, and also the business cycle of organization. That's why most of the system implementation or installation will be done when the business is the slowest. Okay. Public holiday, for example, that's an excellent time for installing new system. Weekend, that's also favorite because usually at weekend most business will have let their office close. Documentation. Okay, with documentation, this is not the glamorous part of system development, and many of developers usually reluctant to create complete documentation. But this is a critical part of implementation. We need to document everything. So detailed about design specification, internal working and functionality, and also how the user can use the system and how to maintain the system. Okay. For example, if the system crash, what the administrator or the manager should do in the event of system crash. Okay. And with documentation nowadays, this is the technology is quite varied. You can use text, obviously. You can use graphic. You can use video, audio, tutorial, step-by-step guidance, things like that. Okay. And then training. Training meant for user to be prepared to use the new system. Okay, and also support. Support means solving the problem faced by the user when they use the system. Okay. For example, there is problem in installing the new software in a computer. User could not solve it, so the support should be able to help. Why? Because even with well-planned and well-executed testing, there is always a possibility that the system will face error, especially if you develop a software or system that being used by millions of people, like commercial software. Microsoft, for example. Microsoft tested their software with variety of hardware and user scenarios, but there's always possibility that the user will have a system that's beyond the assumption. So when you build system, when you test the system, you always have assumption on what the system or hardware software being used by user. For example, after a few months of the new system in Photographer.net, the new version of Photographer at that time being released and work, we still have to deal with error and bugs, but mostly all the main activities has been done, and it was more or less smooth. Okay, no problem. But one day, because in Photographer.net at that time there were free user, it means that they don't pay anything, and also paid user. Paid user was categorized into three different bronze, silver, and gold. So there is one gold user. Obviously, that user paid the most expensive fee. He complained that he could not log in into the new Photographer.net. There were no problem with the old Photographer.net, but with the new he failed. So we tried to guide him, try to solve the problem, still failed. He could not log in into the system. So it was very confusing. All my programmers didn't know what to do. So okay, one of the founder actually looking into the log, so the record of the servers and how they interact with the user, and he found out that that particular user actually using Internet Explorer version 4 to access the system. So Internet Explorer version 4 was released by Microsoft in 1995. So it was 2012. So it's been 17 years. Our assumption for development at that time was using Internet Explorer version 6. So obviously version 4 and version 6 are vastly different. At that time, I remember even with Internet Explorer, Microsoft already have the version 8. Okay, so the latest version at that time, 8.6 was not the latest version. But this particular user used version 4, so it's very, very difficult. So to overcome that problem, we finally make a special login system for that person, because when we suggested that he changed the browser to other, he refused. Okay. Since he paid, we need to cater for him. Okay, so we also need to prepare computing infrastructure, especially if the new system require new hardware, new places. Okay, so these are the potential training topics: use of the system, general computer concept, especially if the users were not familiar with computers. System management, system intelligence. That's type of training methods. We use resident expert. That's why there were type of training with training for trainers. Okay, instructor-led classroom training, e-learning, blended learning, and others. Nowadays, support can be done automatically. For example, by submitting a ticket. Have you ever seen this? Okay, so this is the help desk. For example, if you want to you have problem with Sparma or Siatma, you can open your ticket and then you explain the problem. Okay. Okay. So the help desk will receive your ticket and then review your request or your problem and then try to fix the problem. Okay. So help desk is a single point of contact for all user inquiries and problem, and it will be the go-to place for any problem with the new system. Now, with help desk, we need obviously technical skill, but also people skill, listening and communication. Most of the time, user will have difficulties in expressing their problem. So help desk need to be very good in listening skills, understanding what's the problem. Okay. Never make an assumption. Okay. Because our assumption, the help desk assumption probably will be different from user assumption. Okay. So these are the support issues to consider: user question and problem, recovery and backup. That's very important, especially with a critical system that could not be stopped for whatever reasons. Disaster recovery, PC maintenance, and user group. Okay. Okay, so that's the. I'll stop my presentation here. Okay. So if you look at the implementation, there is some overlap between development and operation. So let me share you this. Okay. Okay. Have you ever heard this before? Sorry. Okay, DevOps. In modern IT organization or IT governance in a modern organization, there are the term DevOps. This to separate the development of information system from the operation of information system. Remember your accounting information system classes, the segregation of duties. People who create the system should be separated from people who use the system and also people who manage the system or operate the system. That's where DevOps came, the term DevOps came. So we need to separate between development and operation. In photographer.net, I was, my title at that time was IT Development Manager. Another person was the IT Operation Manager. So that's the DevOps. Now, DevOps become a term that define the seamless connection between development and operation. So everything that has been developed will be given to operation to be run. Okay. Now, let me. So, an ideal place in any okay, so there will be 4 different environments. This is for development. This is for tests. It's called staging. And this is production. Okay. So, let me check. Okay, so on the left here, the development and test are domain of development or dev, while the staging and production is the domain of operation. So obviously, we use development environment here to develop our new system. And then after we finish, internally, we will push this to test environment where all the testing will be done, especially by tester, not by the developer. If there's something wrong, then the system will be returned to the development for fixing or an improvement. Okay. Training, user training will also being conducted in test environment. Okay. Production is the system that's currently being used for daily operation. Nothing can be touched. No software for development can go through the production without having been tested and staging. So this is a no-go zone for any people. Okay, so anyway, after testing, if it's everything fine, no error, everything works as intended, then the development team will hand over the finished system to operation team. Operation team will then, so that the system will be pushed from test to staging. In staging, the operation department will prepare the new system for production. It means what? It means data from production will be moved to the new system. There will be they need to convert and then load the data, the old data into the new system. And again, there will be tested. All the requirement will be prepared here, and after it's finished and they sure that the staging is ready, then it will be pushed to production. If the staging felt that there is something wrong, they can push that back to test for another fixing. Okay, so these are the ideal environment for development and operation. So for example, there is a new version here, it will be tested thoroughly. After it's passed all the required tests, it will push staging and then it will be prepared. They have to make sure that the new software will not interfere with whatever the production use. For example, a few months ago when Microsoft pushed a new update, they delivered the new update. Apparently this new update make some printer broken. I mean, the computer with that specific type of printer could not print the document. Okay, so that should be found in staging. Okay. If there is problem with that, it need to be pushed back to the test production. Okay, so that's the current environment for develop implementation. Now, for your final report, you need to create an implementation plan. Okay, so how would you, going through all the implementation step, you need to specify how would you implement the system. For example, you obviously don't need to code the system, that's fine, but you need to specify the installation strategy. Is it direct cutover, parallel, pilot location, or phase? User training. Who will be involved in training? Who will be the trainer? When, for example? And also for testing. And so on and so forth. So that's the issue that you need to cover in your implementation plan. Like I said in the beginning of this lecture, mostly implementation was not discussed with many chapters. Why? Because it's involved other people. Okay, you can develop a system on your own without any interference from other stakeholders. But when you implement that system in the production environment, in your client's environment, you have to deal with other stakeholders. You have to train users. You have to make sure that the other software work with your new system. You have to deal with vendors, for example. If you buy any hardware or software, you have to deal with other employees or other users that not directly related to your system, things like that. So implementation involves a lot of other stakeholders. Therefore, usually it's not being practiced. Okay. Okay, that's it for our lecture today. Any question? Okay, if there is no question, that's it for today, and see you next week.
Yes, sir.